Hey, Bobby.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
Hello.
You know what's creepy?
I don't know. Everything?
Yeah, but
Including?
what specifically?
Tell me, please.
I'm going to say many words because I don't know what I want to title this yet.
Oh, okay.
So I'm either thinking of titling this Old People Are Creepy.
Old people?
Aging is creepy.
Aging is creepy. Oh, is there a third?
I thought there was a third one, but I can't remember it. So that's probably not.
Getting older.
Getting old
That's
is creepy. Aging.
It is.
I'm gonna do some research, but it's the same topic. It's just worded in all different because at first I think old people are creepy sounds funnier.
Yeah, it definitely sounds funnier. And people be like,
I
what?
would go old people are creepy.
Am I old? Who do they think is old?
Yes, because then they'll which I have a definition because I felt after we were talking to Bobby's parents yesterday, they were like, well, what would you consider old? And Bobby said, anyone older than me. I was like, no. That would mean a 37-year-old is an old person.
Yeah. To me, they're older.
Wait, aren't you 37?
No, I'm 36.
You're right. I forgot how old I was for a second as well.
I know my age.
I know.
What's my age again? That you say to yourself every day?
Yeah, pretty much. I forgot what year it was the other day. It's because I'm getting old. My memory isn't there.
Getting old and aging is very creepy. It's very creepy when you look back or think of moments or times and you're like, oh, that was 10 years ago. Oh, that was 15 years ago. Oh, that was
I know the reason
more
for
than
it.
half my life ago.
Do you know why? I know the reason.
Why it's
I learned
creepy?
it once.
What?
No, why it seems as though your younger years seemed longer and more prominent in your life than like your when you were like in your younger years.
Okay.
They felt really long. They didn't pass.
But that's all you knew. You didn't have a lot to like base.
Yeah, but it doesn't like if you think back on your past, you're usually thinking back to like your young days. You're not thinking back to like 2 years ago.
Not 2, but like my 20s, my early 20s, my late teens, high school.
Yeah, I would count that up to 20, like mid 20s and back.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I guess we're not far enough away from it.
No.
You'll see when you're like 50.
Yeah. But even still, like when I say, oh, that was half my life ago, when I refer to stuff that happened to me in my early days of college when I was, 16, 17, 18, that's half my life ago, which is crazy.
Yes. But I'm saying, maybe not for you, but like for me and most people, you feel like being in high school was like not that long ago. You feel like college was not that long ago.
Feels like
but
that.
Then if I look at
but then I know my like 20th year reunion's coming up and it's like, oh.
But then like
poop.
I haven't worked my office job in 5 or 6 years and that feels
yeah. I mean, I still have dreams.
That feels like a long time ago to me.
Oh, it feels like a long time.
It feels like a long time ago to me.
Yeah, time is weird.
But
Aging,
then high
old.
school, college doesn't feel that long ago, even though that was press. Well,
that does more. That
you're
feels,
ruining my
go ahead.
Interesting fact. So, scientists, people believe like that studied this show that you remember like instances in your life are more important to you when you've learned something. So when you're younger, you're obviously learning and or doing something new. When you're doing something new or learning something, it like sticks in your memory way more. So when you're younger, you're learning and or doing something new almost every single day. But then as you get to like our age, you're like, oh, I did that already. So it's not like a as prominent moment. So that's why a lot of times when people have kids, they like that because it's like, oh, I'm going to Disney for the first time with my kid. It becomes like a special
new way,
moment,
like
rather than like, oh, I'm going to Disney for like the 5th time.
Yeah,
like it's not that special anymore. But yeah, because I forget why I learned that, but somebody said that's why like as you get older, people still feel like in their 20s. Yeah, I know my uncles told me that like. One day you'll just wake up, look in the mirror and be like, oh
shit.
I'm older.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm still like my 20-year-old self.
Yeah.
And it's because like your brain kind of plays a trick on you where life starts seeming to go very fast after that, because think about it, like you're going into a job. Most people are going into a job, or you're becoming like a stay-at-home parent, and every day is kind of the same thing. Whereas like when you were in high school and college, it's like you were making different friends, you were taking different classes, you were like transitioning to different periods.
A lot more new,
your
exciting experiences. Now when you get out of that and it's just the same mundane run of the, every day is the same, it feels like.
Yeah, that's why if you make your life interesting, it'll feel longer. There you go. There's your takeaway for the day. Make your life, and then I feel like, try something new every day. Your life will feel longer.
But I feel like most people who work a 9 to 5 and do that all the time and do it for a long time, they probably like feel like they've been working forever and grinding and every day.
I mean, yeah, I could feel like,
the days feel long and the years feel short?
Yeah,
right? Kind of, isn't that what it's supposed to be?
Well, that's for parenting, but yes.
Oh, for parenting, yeah. I just think in general, like the way I always had like a funny way of looking at time is when you're young and you're always like excited about getting to something, and like you're that hype and anticipation it builds up.
Whether it's like new,
a vacation or going into high school, it's really new. And then when you get older, that like anticipation and wait for things, even if it's something that's new, it just feels different. I guess it's just because you know more about like probably what you're gonna do. Yeah, I think that's been like the weirdest thing for me is when you have things to look forward to in the year, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm a week away from we're leaving for a trip, and it doesn't have that same allure and mystique that it used to have. Where when you were young, and you're like, when like it's July, or I don't know, it's August, September, and you're like, ooh, Christmas is coming up.
My birthday's in 2 days, and I'm like, like it's my birthday in 2 days. But I feel like when I was younger, I was like, oh man.
I think at this age,
I'm going to get so many birthday messages. Everybody's going to be nice to me.
I think once you hit 30, when it comes to birthdays, when you're in this kind of age time, there's no special, like, until you're 40.
What can I do?
Like you hit it, now it's every 10 years. It's
what do I get? Like, I feel like when you were younger, you were like, oh, I'm 16. I can get a license now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 21.
Well, there's more
milestone.
Oh, there's 21. And then if you care about like being able to like rent a hotel or rent a car, when you get older, you can hit those. But now when you get older, it's like, I think every 10 years, like, oh, I'm in my 30s. And then you're in your 40s.
Becomes a decade thing.
Yeah, and then you're in your 50s. So each birthday you're not like, oh, I'm 36. Yay. I mean, yay, I'm happy I'm alive.
Yeah.
But you don't need to have a crazy party like you used to. But yeah.
Okay, well, I wanted to start the podcast off, even though we're like almost 10 minutes in, defining what an old person is.
Okay.
Because this also came up because my mom, when she was visiting, said, oh, this guy I know passed away. He was so young. And I said, oh, how old was he? And she said 70 something. And in my brain, I was like, it's
definitely not young.
It's not. I get that, like, it was like he could have had a decent amount of years left. So,
like, at best, people live in.
But I wouldn't say he was
average,
young.
Did you look up the average lifespan?
I think for men, it's 73.
Really?
Thought so.
That sounds higher than I would have guessed.
Oh, really?
I would think American average lifespan.
I'll look it up right now.
I would think like men for like 63, maybe a little more, and then women probably definitely like a good 4 or 5 years older.
Men is 73. I was right.
Wow, in
about
America?
73. And women's is 79.
I'm surprised. Okay, so he was right at the average, right? Your mom said he was 72.
Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, obviously you'd like to live longer, but if you
it says the U.S. has a higher rate of avoidable deaths, which is measured as death before the age of 75.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, look at the food and crap and stuff we put in our bodies.
Avoidable death. Yeah, avoidable death.
Yeah.
So yeah, 73 for men is the average. So yeah, saying he died at 70, it's like, okay, he hit the average. That's pretty good.
But what I was going to say is that if you die and you have like, you've lived the majority of percentage of your life that your life expectancy, whereas he was at 99.7%, then like, no, you got there. I get it.
Well, it's because like she's in her
60s, so she's like, 10 years.
You don't want to think that 10 years.
No, I get it. I completely get it.
But you could, on the other side of that, you could live to be 100, and then you had another 30 years.
Yeah,
like our life.
Almost my lifespan when you're in your 70s.
So
absolutely.
Yes, and that's what I have statistics, but because life expectancy is getting longer with modern medicine. Like the new old is like younger now.
Mm-hmm. So when we were kids, someone in their, I mean, I think most younger people think this, but when I know my dad said it yesterday, but like someone in their 50s, I would say, oh, they're old.
Yeah.
But now
when you were a kid, but now
age,
it's like
a lot of, I think what's cool to see is that a lot more people, if they can make the time and are able to, they take care of themselves a lot more than they used to. Like working out is becoming a lot more of an acceptable thing, whether it's
especially with like our generation that knows more
about food and eating better. So you see people in their 40s, 50s, 60s that are looking the best they've ever looked.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my goal is I'd like to keep getting better and better.
Age like fine wine.
Ideally. Or you get smarter with age and you learn how to take care of your body.
Well, you would hope that you get smarter with age.
Ideally.
Most people.
Speaking in terms of averages.
Or not smarter, wiser.
Wiser. Yes. You get wiser and you learn how you should be taking care of your body better.
Yeah.
And ideally you do. Like my dad's gone to the gym. I think he goes at least like 3 to 4 times a week, maybe 5. He goes almost every day.
Damn.
That's just been in him since like he's forever because he was, he did wrestling and then he was in the army. So he just always has had that. So he's taking good care of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to do that same thing too. Just increase that life expectancy.
It's never too late to take care of yourselves. I feel like that. I also know like a lot of the older generations who don't care or like think that it's overblown. Like the whole healthy eating movement is overblown because then they're like, well, when I was young, we used to eat like nobody had any problems. I was like, well, when you were young, food was manufactured very differently.
So that's
why a lot of your grandparents may have lived. Like I know somebody that lived to 90 something and all they ate was like straight up bacon and butter and stuff, but they were eating like the real
whole food,
she was cooking everything from
food.
scratch. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the process.
That's a perfect example.
I think when we are in our like 50s, 60s, when we're older, there's going to be this huge hope. I mean, I think they already know it.
I think they already know it too, but because they've been coming out with certain, like sucralose is now
and then
attached to cancer. Aspartame.
They're going to reclassify that as a carcinogen now.
Oh, are they?
I hope that people are held responsible for this, like soda companies, food manufacturers, all the big guys, and I hope they all go down because they all knew.
They're not gonna.
I know. This is hopeful, wishful thinking.
But maybe they didn't know from the start.
They knew. In a way,
How
they
would
knew.
They have known?
They knew. They always know. They always know.
How did they
may
know
not know 100%, but they knew and know more than we did. And they lie. They definitely lie when it comes to food and all the processed crap. Like, yes, they may not have had the long-term studies, but they definitely were seeing, like in my opinion, a lot of cancer and stuff comes from like all the processed food and crap that we eat.
Oh yeah. So either that or remember we learned about coal. This is getting off topic, so we should go back.
That's fine.
Remember we learned about like coal ash? I didn't know that like, in North Carolina, I don't know if it's other places. I should look if it's other states, but in North Carolina for a long time, they were building with coal ash because it was cheaper for the companies to mix coal ash with filler that they would use into the like dirt filler to use in the ground when they're building buildings. And then that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now all these people are getting cancer, like super rare cancers. And they're like, oh, I wonder why. And they tested the soil and they're like, oh, because coal ash is a carcinogen and you built houses on top of it. And then they're like, oh, my bad. We'll clean it up. It's like, what?
Sorry. Whenever I think of a big company like apologizing, did you ever see that South Park episode with BP? Remember when BP had those oil spills?
Yeah.
Back in the day, they made an episode where it was like the CEO.
Oh God, the BPOs.
They made fun of the CEO. He'd be like in front of like little like
sorry
penguins, be like, I'm sorry. And they're just going all like they have all different shots of him like, oh, we're sorry. But obviously, they weren't sorry. They were just saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a big ick of mine when it comes to
what companies.
Just it feels like we've been getting bamboozled and a lot of the what's the word? Our society's like why can't I think of the word? Capitalistic mindset.
Oh yeah, well of course.
The capitalistic mindset
what it was built on.
Of like our parents' generation, just do whatever you got to do to make money and whatever, like all the side effects, whatever. And now we're starting to learn all the side effects that have come from the manufacturing of things, all the chemicals, all the stuff we put in food and preserve, all this crap. And I get it. They may not have known everything, but at some point they knew before us. And it just feels like I think screwed.
Companies a lot of times might do something without ill intent. And then sometimes they find out that it was ill intent. And then they're like, kind of like when I watched The Dropout. It's the same thing. She started with a good premise.
They all. I don't want to. They're not trying.
We're going way too far off track, but
no. But it has to do with aging and
not
old
really,
people.
But not really. But she started with good intentions. She found out that what she was doing was harming people, and instead of because she found out that if she brought that up, she would
find ways to.
She would lose all the money and everything. And so instead of doing the right thing, she
did the wrong thing.
But I feel like a lot of times companies can start with not ill intent, find out that something went wrong, but be like, oh, we'll lose way too much money. Yeah. Let's just keep going. And then they don't fix the problem.
They wait until it's until the government imposes the sanctions or changes the rules and whatnot, which whatever. We can start transitioning away. One last thing I wanted to say.
We haven't even gone. I spent time on my talking book.
We good. It's fine.
I didn't even use Chat GPT. I was in charge of things this week.
Something I've noticed is if you look at millionaires and billionaires nowadays, a lot of them are more fit and care about their health and are doing everything they can to slow down aging.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, you look at all these billionaire, they're all, heavier. They got drinking a lot.
Back in the day.
No, way, but 60s, 70s. If you look,
cigar lounges.
That was the lifestyle. I mean, it still is for a lot of people, but I just think it's changing to where people realize I don't want to, I'd rather take care of myself and slow down aging and not accelerate it.
Gotcha. Let's define what we mean by old people.
Go ahead.
Or the elderly.
The elderly.
The Center for Disease Control and Prevention defines an older adult as, well, this one's a little, it says as someone who is at least 60 years old.
Okay.
That's just an older adult.
Okay, that's fine.
Many states may also have different definitions of elderly when determining what resources are available. Mm-hmm. But most states commonly use 65 years of age as the cutoff.
I think that's fair.
For saying that you're an elderly
old person.
Sorry, Mom, you getting because I asked her, I was like, what would you consider as an elderly person? And she said 80. And I was like, no.
Yeah, that's old.
Yes. But to her, it's not. It's old at that point. You're old because that's only 20 years from her.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just probably giving her a crisis while she's listening to this podcast. Don't worry, Mom, we'll all be there. Hopefully. Maybe. Hopefully we'll all be there. That's why I always try to tell people that are upset about aging or whatever. I'm like, listen, there's people who never got to your age. Just think about that. There's people who wanted to be your age that never got to be your age because they died young.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw this random, it was an old person, so I guess it's topical. It was this old World War II veteran. He was giving an interview, and at the end, the lady who was interviewing said, oh, thank you, you're a hero. And he's just like, I'm not a hero. He's like, all the people who died, they're the heroes. I was the lucky one. I'm lucky I got to be this age. That's why I always try to say, you should be grateful that you're getting older, thankful that you're older. You're lucky that you're old, you're still around. You're around. You're
That's I'm probably going to have a crisis. I know my sister passed the age my dad. Did she? I got to ask her. If she's probably listening right 46? Now. Yes. So no, she didn't
She's
yet.
Not,
no. No, I thought he was younger than that.
I don't know. 44. 46?
I'm so bad. I keep forgetting. I know what year he passed, but I don't know how old he was.
Yeah.
But I feel like when I get to his age,
yeah, it's weird.
It's gonna be weird.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't 46. Maybe he was.
I don't know.
My family's yelling at me right now while they're listening to this podcast. When I get to his age, hopefully, if I'm lucky, I'm probably gonna be like, oh my God, I can't imagine.
I think it happens to a lot of people when they reach the age of when a parent died, whether it's older or younger,
or even somebody
Yeah,
you're just I can't imagine.
Yeah,
this podcast.
Or it's weird for me when I reach the age and oh, my parents got married at this age. My parents had me at this age.
Yeah,
obviously we've passed that, but Yeah, that's always when you try to like, all right, we had Melody. I was 35 or whatever. I was 35, 34.
Our memory.
We had her in 21.
Old.
No, 2 years. Yeah, 36. So I was 34. So I always try to like, okay, when she's 18, I'll be this age. When she's, in height, whatever.
Yeah.
It's
well, this because I wouldn't consider 65 an elderly person.
No, I wouldn't say elderly. You're old or older. You're an older person.
Yeah.
You definitely have a title of older. Old.
Well, so it says with life expectancy increasing, the point at which someone is considered elderly also changes. For example, in North America, people are considered old at 70 and 70 for men and 73 for women.
It's weird.
Is when you're considered old.
It should be the same.
Well, no, because women live longer.
Get that, but it sounds like that could be misconstrued to be abused for like retirement.
Well, no, retirement's still at 65.
Yeah, I know.
They're just saying like as a society, that's when a lot of people would
start categorizing.
Old.
Yeah, that's what feels like. I mean, I always.
Oh, I also have what was considered old 10 years ago. What age do you think was considered old 10 years ago?
62.
Yeah.
Well,
younger.
70 is now, right?
Yes.
And it's young. I'll go 58.
No, sorry. I think 65 is the universal one.
Oh, so
right now.
What was the universal one 10 years ago? I'll go 57.
Oh, sorry. It says today you would be considered old at 70. 10 years ago, you were considered old at 59.
Interesting. 10 years?
Like 6. That's what it says.
That's crazy.
Research shows.
Why is 11? They've added 11 years and 10 years? Some funky math.
Well, because of technology. And
yeah, I mean, I guess a lot has. I was 20. Yeah. Yeah, they've definitely gotten better with preventable and curable stuff.
Diseases. Yeah, even cancer
Cancer's
treatments come a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do some hypotheticals. Do you think we'll ever get to a point ever that we can maybe not stop aging, that people won't die, but extend it near indefinite? Like people can live 300 years old. Think we'll ever get there?
Maybe. Well, it's weird. Because I'm trying to think if it's already happened. Because like, if you look back at old photos and you look at people that are our age in old photos, they aged quicker. Look like they're 60.
Yeah, they aged a lot quicker.
Yeah. So
that's
I don't know. So
it's
I don't know
if
it's already kind of happened where the aging process has slightly slowed down a little bit. And that's why our life expectancy is going up, and that's why people look younger longer.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because it's very true. If you look, like especially like World War times, and you look at the guys who were there, and
it was also high stress.
Yeah, or late teens, early 20s, they all look like they were 30s and 40s.
Yeah,
guys that are like balding that look like in their 40s and 50s, and they're 22 years old.
Yeah,
or
it could already be happening.
It's always interesting when you look back at like old baseball players. Like Babe Ruth and like Mickey Mantle, all these guys, and
when I learned what Babe Ruth's age was, I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah, it's very odd seeing how that. But yeah, they aged. They just aged a lot quicker, and they didn't have like, I guess I don't know. I would like to know. We'll have somebody on in season 2 that can re-dive into all this stuff.
I was gonna say, well, did you know that according to Gen Z, we are old because we're over 30?
Okay, every young generation. Fine, I don't care. You can call me old. I don't care if someone calls me old.
I love that they're starting.
I would rather be called old. You know why? Because I look young, so I've always like when I get ID'd, not as much anymore, thankfully, but I was getting ID'd until like my 30s. So for me personally, being called older was like, oh yay, I'm older, and I had a lot of like whatever, but I don't care.
I have noticed a shift on TikTok. Because I like to stay up to date with the young people.
What the youths are doing?
With the youth. I like to check in on what the youths are doing.
What are they saying about us?
They are our future. What?
What are they saying about us?
Well, it's funny because, there's the whole like the okay boomer. Which I'll talk about later if we have time. But now it's become the millennials where they're like poking fun at us.
Like, whatever. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. You know why? Because I've been off Twitter for like 3 months now. And I don't care what these kids say anymore. It's great. I highly recommend it for anyone out there. Big fan of not being on Twitter anymore.
And you were never on TikTok, so you...
No. I mean, I've used it, but no.
Yeah. I just learned
So they make fun of millennials?
So like for example,
What are some of the things they make fun of us for?
What are the
Can we make fun of them all the boys for having like perms? What the heck is that haircut?
Do they have perms?
You see like
the e-boy haircut?
Like the poofed out, like short and then poofy hair that boys are wearing nowadays?
I must not be.
Oh my goodness.
I must not be on the young young man TikTok.
Oh my gosh. Like I know every generation makes fun of the ones before and after. I get it. But
like, I have money pieces in my hair right now. I'm probably going to be looking back at this in a couple years from now and being like, what was I doing?
Coloring is different.
I'm just trying things.
Their hair and it looks like a chia pet on their head. They perm it out and they use like, it's so silly looking.
You just don't understand because you're too old.
It's fine. I get it. I mean, look what we used to wear. Oh my God. Like the mushroom haircut and the blowout was big. Oh man. All I think about.
I'm trying to remember. Of course, like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to remember the exact things that they make fun of us for. I don't know if it's something specific, but like every now and then somebody's like, oh yeah, I forgot Lauren's a millennial. I'm like, what does that mean? I thought millennials were cool. You know how much crap we've been through?
Yeah.
We're also very supportive of Gen Z. Like, what are you doing?
Don't come at us too hard there because, you know, we support you guys. We got your back for now. For now. Like, don't make us side with the boomers.
It's like, dude, why are you picking on millennials? I feel like millennials are the most like laid back.
Some of us, for sure. We're a cool generation because we grew up with the internet as it. I mean, like I didn't get a smartphone until I was out of college, which is crazy to think about because I don't feel that old.
Yeah.
But kids nowadays get it when they're in like grade school, middle school, which is way too young. It's one thing to have a phone. A phone is fine. But to be on social media, I think the government should come down heavily on like no one under 18 should be on social media.
How would that work?
I don't know. I'm not a government social media person.
Sounds like something an old person would say.
Yeah, that's fine. Because I've gained wisdom and knowledge since growing up with MySpace and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
I feel like a lot of people have said this, but I'm glad that I was in a generation, which is funny because I feel like the generation before us has like my mom's generation is like, I'm so glad we grew up without technology.
Between that.
Oh yeah, my sister. Like boomers. Or not my sister and like brother-in-law's generation. Yeah. Ish. I think my sister's on the cusp of like between.
What is it? Millennials and then Gen X? So they're Gen X?
I think so.
So it's millennials, Gen X. No. Boomers.
Yes.
Gen X.
Yeah.
Millennials. And then Gen Z. And then
we just they gave up on Y.
Yeah.
We are Y. No, but I feel like even Gen X came into it. Like they were like lucky to get into it
when they did.
No, not when they did. I think they like just missed.
Yeah.
Like we, especially even from my career, like we landed in the right spot.
We were lucky because it didn't come out till we were like in high school.
Yes.
Which is a okay time.
And it was also not as developed. Then it was like the Wild West.
It was nothing compared. I mean, we had like AIM and chat rooms and stuff.
Things
were compared to
there wasn't as many people on it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people like I even remember in high school, a lot of people didn't have computer like straight computers, like computers for themselves. You had like a family computer and one and everybody shared it.
Yeah.
And so you couldn't like be on it all day. There was no phones. But I'm like happy that because we like if anything, millennials kind of shaped the internet because we were the ones using it. And now like it'll continue to shape as generations go. But like the start of it was us using it and getting used to it and building it.
There were some glory days of the internet.
But I mean, like even YouTube, like I came into it at like
I remember when you started YouTube and it felt like you were late.
Yes.
Right? You're like, all these people.
I was on YouTube when it first began, but not in a serious way, just for fun. And I remember I took time off to go to college and then like came back to it and I was like, oh no, if I would have just kept going with it, I could have had this career. So like even when I started, and that was 10 years, we just hit the 10-year mark, that I felt like I was late to the game and I was like, oh no, like I'm too late. I'll just do it for fun and like see what happens. But so like now when people tell me they want to be a YouTuber, I'm like,
good luck.
Good luck. Like it's not impossible.
No, absolutely not. Because I look at people like that Eric guy.
I also think
I remember watching him when he was like I don't know, let's say 10, 20,000 subs. So I got a video of his and he was like determined to like meet Mr. Beast, become the next Mr. Beast. And he did it.
Yeah.
Essentially. No, he's not Mr. Beast, but he's.
I also have this feeling, which we could talk about if we do another YouTube podcast, but I have a feeling from what I've seen with like TikTok and short form content and audiences being more spread out because there's more people. I feel like you're not going to get as many like when I started YouTube, you knew all the big names. You were like, this person's big, this person's big, this person's big. Now I have no idea. Like I'll come across a channel. I'm like, oh my God, like this person has like 10 million subscribers. I've never heard of them. I feel like you're like, everybody's going to be, it's just going to become too big to where everybody will have their like their niche audience, but there's not going to be like the PewDiePies. Yeah. Like,
well, if you compare it, like,
I was about to say like, the girl that just got canceled.
Yeah.
Like that whole genre, like when iJustine was huge and like I knew every single person that was a big YouTuber. Now I don't.
Yeah, I mean that was when you'd go on to
now there's
YouTube,
TikTok
that was
stars.
all
now
see.
There's Instagram people.
Now it's personalized and you see what you like or whatnot.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back on track.
Go ahead.
Does getting old scare you?
No. It doesn't scare me because the way I always think is you're always older. You're never younger.
Always older.
Since we started this podcast, I'm older.
Oh, well, that's what I was going to dive into. So I think the reason why a lot of Gen Z thinks, so I watched a whole YouTube video about it. About this topic. That's why I wanted to talk about it because I thought it was very interesting about why Gen Z has this like, Gen Z seems to have this like, not fear, but like they think their lives are going to end at 30.
Oh.
Like, as they know it, it's going to end. Which I don't know if I ever thought that.
No.
I don't think I ever thought that.
No.
But like, oh, that's what I was saying. So I post a perfect example. I posted on TikTok just a random, it was like a fun filter where it like blurred your face and then like it made you into this like cute cartoon character where you like looked super nice after. And like I was liking the filter, so I just made a little clip, put it out. I got all these comments that were like, oh no, Lauren, you're like an internet mom now, and like basically bashing me for just putting out a video of me like singing along to a song to a filter because I thought it was fun. And I'm like, why? Because
How dare you?
Well, and that's also where I got a lot of comments that were like, oh no, I forgot Lauren's a millennial. I'm like, what do you mean, oh no? Yeah, okay.
It's just,
you guys would lose your minds if I was like, ew, I forgot you guys were Gen Z. Yeah. Like, no, I don't care. Like,
it's just what the younger generation does.
I know.
I don't let that stuff get to me, I think.
It's just weird to me, especially now that I am in my 30s.
It's just because they're getting older and they're starting to like go in college, start jobs, so that younger generation, you feel a bigger gap. You know what I mean? You
do change. Your life changes drastically from like after college, like people before college to after college. Your life drastically changes.
Yeah,
and your priorities and your. So that's why I think there's like a big gap between like 20 to mid 20s to like 30-year-olds. It's like,
yeah, I think it's a very interesting time to be a college student with
right now.
Yeah, it's a very, from what I hear.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
from the things I hear, but yeah, I think it's a weird, society is in like this weird phase right now, and I can see how younger people look at our generation and older, and just they look at us so differently because we are very different, and it's because
the internet. Yeah, well, we grew up during different phases. Yeah.
But,
yeah, I don't want to go into it too much again.
But no, I'm not afraid of getting older.
But I will say, I was going to say along with that.
I hope I get to get older.
Actually, no. Yeah, we'll finish that topic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not scared to get older.
No. I'm excited to.
I feel
I want to. I want to be older. I want to be old. I'm scared to not be healthy. Because that's that's more, you know, within your control.
I'm more scared to get old because I know ailments begin.
Yeah,
the older your risk of cancer goes up. Yeah. Your risk of dementia.
The things that I've noticed now is that I can't drink the way I used to when I was young. Not that I was a crazy drinker, but you know, I would drink.
We said we'd be in college. You could like have a whole like night out till like 3 or 4 in the morning drinking and then wake up and be like, all right, I'm going to class.
Yeah, you'd be hungover, but you'd be all right.
Like,
nowadays,
just have another day.
You have a couple drinks
You're
for
out
dinner,
for like 3 days.
and it just, if you do go to like a wedding and you really party, it just destroys you.
Yeah, I don't enjoy drinking as much anymore because of the effect that it has
Same.
on my body afterwards.
Yeah.
It's not worth it anymore.
Absolutely. That's another thing I think is starting to get phased out. I think people are, I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, like even when we went to the restaurant at my sister's house and I asked the guy for a recommendation on a cocktail and he was like, oh, sorry, I don't drink. And I was
think a lot of people
and he was like
are
younger, like a, what's it called?
I would be curious
like
to know the
age.
stats. It may not be that drastic, but for my experiences, it feels like people are drinking less, and that's probably for health reasons. And I think some people are choosing like weed over alcohol as it becomes
probably.
Legal or recreational.
Or just nothing. I know a lot of people that just like don't want to, they don't like losing control, so they just don't.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard a couple
and I think
times.
It's become less like taboo in a way for people to not drink, whereas it used to be like the customary thing is you go to a party, you drink, and people, I guess, would almost feel like peer pressure. Yeah. And now it's almost cool not to drink. And interesting. Interesting observations.
I will say, I think a lot of people get scared of getting old because of their like the attractiveness factor or like how they look. It's like perceived that you look worse as you age.
Jump down another. Yeah, I
jump down another.
I have such gripes with how society deals with aging and beauty.
Oh, I have a whole section about that. Was what my YouTube video was about. I'll skip over the other stuff.
I very much do not like when people get plastic surgery for like just from aging
related stuff.
And I've seen all different degrees of it. Sometimes people get it done and like it looks really good, but I feel like people either get addicted and go overboard, just look so absurd. But I just wish I wish our society, and this is just a pipe dream and it's not going to ever happen, but maybe, maybe it'll change one person's
society
opinion.
Was like very into being extremely skinny.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's changed now.
I think it would be so much better, especially for women, if people just stopped caring about how they looked and not say you want to look presentable. You don't want to look a mess. You want to look put together. But I hate how long it takes like you to get ready. And I'm not saying,
oh, is that what this is coming down to?
No. And I'm not saying I'm mad at you. I know it's like, it's just all of the, and you want to look good in case someone sees you in public and whatever reason, you just want to look, it takes a long time, especially your freaking hair. That's why I've been trying to brainstorm this invention to cut down the drying.
My hair does take a while. My hair takes the longest. But that's why I thought I cut it. I was like, it won't take as long. No, it does.
But
it didn't matter.
I wish people focused less on it. And some people do. It's not everybody. But I can't stand how much people let it control their lives of just like trying to look so absurdly good.
So
at whatever age, if you're older, younger.
So the video that I watched actually said that ageism tends to stem from sexism.
Yeah.
Because it started that like, which I brought this up when we were discussing this topic. If you like just clear your brains and somebody's like, what would you describe like an older man like? And I know some people would say like creepy, because that is, every time I was looking up stories for this podcast, they were like, why are old men creepy? And I'm like that was the multiple topics. But besides that, like the look, what does the media describe like not elderly men like, but like
an
older
guy.
men?
Yeah.
They describe them as like, ooh, dad bod, or ooh, salt and pepper hair, or oh, they age like fine wine.
Yeah.
How do they describe women that
the word
get older?
I just think saggy.
They either say things like, oh, she looks good for her age,
Yeah.
which is also a very condescending comment.
Yeah.
Like, why, what, like, I understand it's like supposed to be a compliment. Like, oh, you look young, but it's also reinforcing the don't look old. That's bad. It's bad to look old. You're going to look unattractive when you're old.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like this stemming of, that's why there's so many beauty things for women specifically that are like, erase your wrinkles and your fine lines and make sure you don't look old and make sure you dress your age and make sure you like, and it's like Don't dye your hair gray. Continue to dye your hair. Like, yeah, that's a big debate right now is there's women trying to like take back the gray hair. So like there's even younger women that are dyeing their hair gray just because it does look cool.
It does look cool on some people. Yeah, for sure.
But they said that's like a big thing with women is a lot of husbands will tell their women,
their lady wives.
Will tell their wives, like if their wives are like, I'm thinking of growing my hair out. I personally know there's some, not in my family, but like I know there's some men that don't want that because they're like, you're gonna look old. Don't grow your hair.
Grow your hair out. Oh,
don't. Yes. Like when you get to the age where you should have could have gray hair or should have gray hair. Instead, because it is when you hit the age where your hair starts naturally turning gray, it is like 10 times harder. Like you think it takes me a long time to get ready now. If I decide I want to like continue to cover my grays, you have to go to the salon like every couple weeks to get your roots touched up. Or just you have to do it yourself.
Yeah, I love the all natural look.
Which also has been coming back a lot, which I appreciate. Like a lot of girls are opting for like not much makeup.
Yeah. I get it. If you want to put a little bit of makeup on just to.
Or there's the natural makeup look. Like there is a look where people think it's natural, but it's not. It's makeup.
I mean, you know my stance with makeup and stuff. Yes, I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm not going to hate on people for doing something that they enjoy. I just, like you said, like this aging and ageism, just be you. And you don't feel the pressure to have to look.
Well, you're gonna if society's, because that's the other thing. So the video I was watching said, if you notice a lot of mainstream media, like TV shows, movies, etc., most of them don't represent 30-year-olds or 40-year-olds. Like they either represent young people, like teenagers, 20s, which I get because usually that's more of an exciting part of your life because you're like trying to figure out who you are, making mistakes, finding who you're going to love, having children. Like once you're kind of in your 30s, 40s, if you're married, have kids, you have a job, like not much in your life is changing unless you decide to like get divorced or like have a tragedy. But that's why a lot of like Gen Z feels like your life is kind of over at 30 because like, the exciting stuff is gone. It's like nobody cares about your life anymore because you've kind of like done your thing. Or
it's such a bad mentality to have. There's so much to do.
I know. I personally love being 30 because
I've been very much
have not cared less about what other people think of me than in my 30s.
Absolutely.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And that's also something with your 30s. Like a lot of people say that in their 30s, they no longer really care about what other people think of them. They finally are like living for themselves a little bit.
And I know that everyone's lives and situations are different, but I think just a good mentality to have is just to stop caring and worrying about what other people think of you. Now, don't be like a terrible person.
Yeah.
And don't be a gross person. Just be
more so like you should dress and do what you want to do as long as it's not hurting anybody.
Yeah. I can't stand.
So part of that thing was in mainstream media, which I also didn't realize until they pointed it out. If you're like a 30-year-old just in general, like if you're a 30-year-old, whether in movies or not, you're a woman, you're either one of two main things. You're a mom, and that's your entire identity. Like you're a mom, and that's it. Or you're like a spinster, which Bobby laughed at me with us. Because it's an old term.
It used to mean something different.
No, it didn't.
What is it?
It means a woman, like an unmarried woman.
Oh, yes.
That's older. An older unmarried woman.
Yeah.
And they're portrayed as like spinsters, which is like a bad term saying like you're getting old and you should be married or you should be having children. What are you doing? Type thing. And that's usually like the two like in your 30s, people are either asking you like, why are you not getting married yet? Why are you not having kids? Or you're having kids. They're asking you are you having more kids?
Yeah, more kids.
Or that's all that they want to know about. Like your mom life. That's it. Yeah. You're no longer a person. You're just other people's mom.
It's been interesting. Like when we talk to people, which we don't do too much because we stay home all the time, but because we had our roles are reversed. We're like, you're the breadwinner, the primary breadwinner, and I'm more or less like the stay-at-home dad now, which is a minority. And it's funny when I see things, I'm starting to get things on Instagram that are like, I think targeted for the stay-at-home moms.
Oh, really?
I start seeing stuff like kid stuff because I like, like kid things and stuff. And I've started realizing like, and I get it, and I'm not offended by it, but all the like kid stuff and like mom stuff. It's all for moms and women. It's
never for dad.
There are like dad accounts where they whatever, but it's funny when you look at that and it's just this is the society. That's why people look at like you said like spinsters and stuff because society is you go to school. What's funny is like you get married, you have kids.
But do they do that to men as much? I mean, I'm sure there's probably somebody in your family that's like, why don't you get married? But it's not absolutely. As big. Like if you were an older guy, if you were in your 30s as a guy, but it's not as pressing.
Yeah.
They're not like, your time's running out.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you age like fine wine. No,
I'm not worried about it.
Not like your sister.
Yeah.
Jeez, her clock is ticking.
I mean, it's a scientific issue as well as it's a society issue.
That's the thing that I'm always torn on. It's like obvious, like if you want to go to biology, you tend to be more attractive during your most fertile years because biologically you're supposed to be attracting somebody to like have children with. Yeah. So that's like where attraction usually comes from. But this like idealization or whatever that that was the TikTok I saw. There was a TikTok saying that if you think that you look better at 35 versus 25, you're delusional. And I was like,
definitely do. Well,
women, they specifically were talking about women. I wouldn't talk about men. That's exactly because they think men look better older.
Yeah.
But like not necessarily. That's not.
I don't think that's.
You look younger more so at 25, but that doesn't mean you were more attractive.
You look, exactly. I mean, it depends. It's just everyone's different. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that.
There's also a conspiracy that I found while researching this on TikTok that the reason why people that are 25, 30 and older are not represented as much in media is because they're not as easily manipulated to buy things. So the conspiracy is that the reason why you see so many shows and movies or even just advertising,
especially old media,
is like young, like super attractive people. It's because younger people are more impressionable to be like, oh, I want to look like that person, or I want to be like that person. Whereas we're just like, who cares?
Yeah,
like whatever. So I was like, I kind of believe that. That's why they do so much content with younger people because they're like, oh, well, you're more likely to like be influenced than older people because older.
I think that's going to change though because I think it definitely has changed.
Oh yeah, I know older people that get influenced by everything.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that. I mean, I'm a very different person, but I think people, when it comes to commercials and like old media, television, movies and stuff, are far less influenced by stuff because of social media now. Like targeted ads are so far and above that old media, like advertisement and not.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I think like, I don't know. That's an interesting thing that they target younger people. Because I would think younger people would be more acute to like identifying, oh, this is just targeting me and this is not for me kind of thing. I don't know.
Oh, I also wanted to share the fun fact that when I started YouTube, I hid my age for a long time. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I guess so.
So I was 23/24. And at that age, I thought I was
old for YouTube.
Old. Which is sad. Like thinking now, I am now 10 years older than that. And like, it's funny, like YouTube's hitting an interesting point where there's people that's been doing it for so long. And there obviously have been creators that have like aged out of their
content.
So I'm always of the mindset of like, I told somebody the one day, I was like, what am I going to be doing this when I'm 40? And they were like, yeah, like you can do it when you were 40. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't think anybody's going to want to watch it.
It'll evolve. You're not doing the same stuff now that you did.
That's true too. I feel like the creators that like go for a long time evolve with their audience a little bit.
Yeah, you got to evolve. You got to adapt because your audience is getting older.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that was so funny. For like a good couple years when I started, I tried so hard to not have my birthday or age be anywhere. I just said I was a 20-something-year-old, which is kind of funny because now when I do content, I'm a 30-something-year-old, 30-year-old lady. Yeah, somebody's like, why didn't you say 34 or 33 or whatever you are? And I was just like, but it doesn't sound as nice.
Yeah.
let's keep 30-year-old lady until I'm 40 and then
Yeah.
40-year-old
every
lady.
10 years.
Oh my God. But that's another thing too. It's like you worry about aging out or not. That's why when I started, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be as relatable to like younger people who are the people that are on YouTube.
But you were.
But I was.
You were wrong.
Because I was, yeah.
Because you had just gotten through all that.
But that's the thing too. I feel like there's this gap between, which I get, like, I obviously am not going to have a lot in common with somebody who's like in high school. We might have similar humor. Like,
yes.
I feel like because I have childish humor, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like this separation of, like, I obviously know somebody who's 50 is also not going to have the same issues and or things to talk about it with me, but I wouldn't write them off of having nothing in common just because of their age.
But that's the thing is someone who's 50, someone who's 30, and someone who's 10 could all like the same thing.
Yeah, you could all like golf.
Yeah, you could all like golf. You could all like The Sims, whatever it may be. You could all, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Of the content. You can still like have, as long as you have a similar shared interest, that's all you need. Yeah. You don't need to have, you don't need to be able to relate to everything that's
why
going
I
on.
hate, because it goes both ways. It's like older generations hate on younger generations or complain about them, and then younger generations complain about
everyone hates everybody.
I know, but it kind of keeps everybody like thinking that you have absolutely nothing in common with somebody because their age is different from yours is like, it's ageism.
It is. Well, like I just said, you don't have to have everything in common with them. Yeah. That's fine. You shouldn't.
I think our generation's gotten better at not, at least maybe not. I shouldn't be speaking for our whole generation, but I feel like I'm better. Like, I don't judge Gen Z or anybody younger at all. There's definitely things that like they do or post, and I'm like, I don't understand the appeal. But I'm never like, oh my God, this generation. I don't know. They're the worst.
Yeah.
I'm always just like, it's not for me. It's not, it's not, you guys do you. If you guys like that, that's cool.
Well, that's what's good now is that there's so much out there for people to do and consume, whether it's media or whatever you like, that where, you know.
No, but I meant like a lot of older generations would, if they didn't understand something that we were doing.
Yeah. I don't know about this Eminem like character.
The music.
Yeah, but that's.
TikTok. Like
the music thing is always funny to me because every generation hated.
Yeah, the generation after.
Yeah,
music.
I mean, this is speaking in broad terms, but yeah, every single time.
Yeah, but I wouldn't.
There was a new change in music. Yeah, the parents and older people didn't like it, and the kids loved it.
Yeah, but it's weird to judge a whole generation.
Like,
on that.
Look at Elvis. When Elvis came up, and all the kids and like the Beatles, and if you look at that now, it's like that's old timey music.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
when rock and roll first came out, people lost their
minds. But now if I listen to new music, like I'm not talking about like new artists, like new music, new rap, new hip hop and rap has, especially the way like they sing is so different that's a very drastic thing. And it's fine. I don't like it, but if younger people like it, who cares? Good.
Yeah, it's for them.
Exactly.
That's why you don't.
But things weren't that people were more,
I think you don't have to like what younger generations or older generations like, but you have to understand it at some level to like, to not be like hating on one or judging one another as generations.
Yeah. You just have to realize I did this to my parents. They're doing it to me now.
Yeah.
Just let it be.
Yeah. I always wonder what, like, when Melody gets older and has interests, it's like, you guys don't understand.
Yeah.
Your stuff is weird. I'd be like, sure, probably, yeah. But yeah, I thought that was a funny tidbit that I was also scared of my age when I was young, way young, and I thought I was old already.
Yeah, well, it's like when I play Destiny, I feel a little odd sometimes that I'm, 36 years old and playing a video game, but then I'm like, well, there's people that are older than me to play.
Yeah, I think that's going to change a lot.
That'll definitely, like, but when I'm watching videos
homes with video games,
yeah, absolutely. But like when I'm watching videos, for me, it's more so like the competitive aspect, and you just see young kids being so good at it.
Yeah,
and I feel like I'm getting.
Oh yeah, you're always gonna get. That's why I said like eventually, I know someday somebody younger is gonna come through and do almost exactly what I do on YouTube, and like take that audience or build a new audience of like the younger people that I would have had if I had started whatever. But like that doesn't upset me or whatever. It's just what happens.
Just evolution.
Then I will move on with my life
and do
crochet. What do you like and or think you will like about getting older?
One of my favorite things is that
before I turn to the creepy side,
I've become wiser with my experience with things. So I'm a lot better at like preparing for situations, whatever it may be. So I enjoy when we're doing whatever it may be. Like I went golfing today and last night I put my golf bag in the car. I put my stuff aside.
Way more now.
I'm a lot more prepared. And whether that's from age or experience, it is. But like James was a little less prepared today. He changed his bag over.
Because he's younger.
He's a little younger than me. He hasn't experienced, but like
the youths.
I'm just comparing it because for me, I enjoy and I've learned that I like to be very prepared.
That might not be an age thing though, because I do know people that are older than me that are not prepared.
No, I agree, but I think you become wiser and you can anticipate things a little bit better. So for me, like that's been what I've personally enjoyed is as I've become older and gained experience in whatever it may be, traveling, for instance.
You've learned from your mistakes more.
Learn from either mistakes or just learn how to do something better. Gotcha. And when you prepare and execute whatever it may be, whether it's packing for a trip or going on a day trip. Like I went and played golf this morning and just knowing how to properly prepare so that my day is better because I prepared the day before. That's something that I found enjoyable as I've gotten older. Being better prepared for things, learning how to anticipate.
By 2030, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% of the population will be of retirement age. And by 2034, seniors will outnumber children for the first time in U.S. history.
Oh, in U.S. Yeah, that's interesting to me. Well,
I mean, I just guess less people are having children.
That's the thing is more
people are living longer and they're boomers, which is a huge
And I know I said this when we were talking about it yesterday, but like other countries, especially like China that limited how many kids you could have, and other countries like they're going to have issues because the older generation is going to have heavily more percentage towards the older generation, and like the younger generation is significantly less. Like that's an issue that some countries are facing. Yeah. But it's interesting.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people are worried about Social Security, because basically what we're like us and younger putting into Social Security is basically going toward the older generation. So if they outnumber the amount of people that are putting money into the system.
Yeah, that's why like it's a very interesting topic when you talk about like our Earth being overpopulated. Some people say it's not. Like Elon Musk is all about like, oh, we need more people and blah blah blah.
I don't think we need more people.
I don't know what we need. We don't need less, because then the old people outweigh the young people, and that is not good.
Yeah,
you need a good balance, and I feel like that's what I think is we're out of balance. We're out of whack.
Yeah,
and that's just because society's changed. People want to do different things, and it is what it is. But it's definitely something to think about.
So when researching for the creepiness aspect of this podcast, I was like,
oh, I thought about this. Go ahead.
I was like, why, when you watch a horror movie, why is like seeing a very old person immediately scary? It doesn't matter if they're doing anything. They can just be like standing somewhere.
Thoughts.
And you're like, oh my God, it's a scary old person.
I have thoughts.
Okay. And by this, I mean like not like a 70-year-old. I'm talking about like a 90. Like you're seeing very like a 90-year-old.
Very old. Let's say very old.
Or 100.
Person.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
I think it's because they
I have an answer, but
well, my thoughts are because they look deathly or
I made the joke before. I was like, they're not supposed to be here. They're so old.
But like when you look
they still going?
At a very old person who's like, you know, their body's starting to go.
Yes.
And they look
like as old
frail.
As a person could get.
They look very frail. Like that is something that I find very creepy, and it like freaks me out when I see very old people who look like they're knocking on death's door, whether it's from a sickness or an old age, but just the way they look, it's creepy because you look like a dried up prune version of a human. But I'm trying to describe a specific looking old person.
You're talking about like the oldest a person can look. Like
not the oldest old, like I'm just like very old people who look either like sickly or
I don't
deathly.
think they're listening to our podcast.
Yeah, no,
if you are, let us know. I want to know. I want to talk to you.
I'm 97 and I love everything is creepy.
That would be my number one fan forever.
Tales from the Crypt. Remember the Crypt Keeper?
Oh God.
How he's like a dead thing, but he still has like his skin and stuff sometimes in some places. When you see very old people that look like that.
I know, but sometimes in horror movies, it's just an old person. It's not
that
like
doesn't
a
look
decrepit old person. It's
pruny.
just like a pretty old person.
Yeah.
They're just like waiting in the shadows.
Because they look old and...
It's like, but I will say, I feel like their creepiness level is the same as seeing a child in a horror movie. So...
It's the extremes.
Yeah, it's the two extremes.
Like, you're really old, why are you here?
You're
really young, why are you here?
Yeah, if you saw like the average age person,
like a 30,
the only reason it'd be
27-year-old, and you're like, oh, okay.
One of the theories behind why old people are creepy in like horror and used a lot in horror movies is because it's associated with the when you see a very old person, it's associated with the expectation that someday all young people, including yourself, will be old inevitably and suffer from the irreversible health decline that comes with old age, which is associated with disability, disease, and death. The sight of aged people could be a possible reminder of death and inevitable biological vulnerability. This unwillingness to accept these can manifest in feelings of hostility and discrimination toward the elderly.
Interesting.
Damn. I wouldn't say that. Well, maybe some people, but like. So yeah, I think they use them as horror movie tropes because it's like a reminder that like someday you will be old.
Yeah.
And maybe your mind won't be there, or maybe your body won't do what it used to do. And that's all scary because there's a lot of times like people mentally can feel trapped in a body that's like not what it used to be. I mean, you could be any age and have a disability that also does that. But more commonly, as you get older, your body will most likely not be able to do the things that it once could do. So it's like,
you know what's really creepy? When you watch really old videos and they like old black and white stuff, or they like digitally remaster like really old stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, all those people are dead. And all the children are either very old or dead as well.
I always think that when I watch a movie and there's an old movie and there was an animal in it, like a dog or something. Yeah. I'm like,
but they were immortalized. Well, not so much, but
yeah. From the start of this topic, I was like, yeah, why are old people like, if you saw an older person, if you were alone in a dark parking lot and like a very old lady came out, would you be like slightly creeped out? Or would you be like, oh, it's just a lady?
I would think they need help. I would assume that's what they're coming over to me for, is to ask me for help.
Ooh, well, I have a good story that will lead into that. Scary. It's called the Old Lady Creepypasta Story.
Oh, well, let's hear it.
Creepypasta means internet horror story that has been passed down through the years for anybody who's
It's usually
new.
Fake, right?
Yes. Or it's based on like an urban legend. Or it's based on like somebody's telling a story, but there's no like actual proof that it happened or not.
Yeah.
And then it gets like, it's like an urban legend.
Urban legend.
That's been passed down. One day at a shopping mall in the afternoon, a woman was coming out of the mall from a shopping spree. She was in a happy mood. She had gotten, I don't know why.
Shopping spree.
In case you wanted to know how happy she was happy.
I want to go on a shopping spree.
Yeah, that sounds fun. She was in a happy mood. She had gotten to her car and loaded her stuff that she had bought into her trunk. When she was done loading, she shut the door of her trunk and she saw an old lady standing by the passenger side of her car. The old woman said, "Would you be a darling and give me a lift home? I don't have a car and I was walking all day." The woman said, "I'd be happy to." So she unlocked the door for the old woman, which I tried to put myself in this situation and
well, nowadays, can I get you an Uber? Maybe. Depends.
I would maybe give them money instead. I'd be like, I would try to make up an excuse. Like, I want to help you, but I'm also very nervous because you're a stranger.
Yes.
I don't know what your intentions are.
Even though
you're an old lady.
You can still have a weapon.
Yes.
You can still have ill intentions.
Yeah. I always think of situations. It depends. I'm like, what would I do
if I saw someone, if it was just someone that appeared like that, that I didn't like, see like where they were coming from, I didn't have any pre-context of like where they were coming from, then I'd be pretty freaked out, pretty creepy. But if I had a little,
I think my go-to would have been like, I would have made up an excuse and been like, oh, I like have to get to a doctor's appointment right now. I'll be like, I'll give you money so you can like call a cab or an Uber or like just go inside the mall and call a cab. That would be my go-to. I'd be like, I'm so sorry, I can't do it. Just like make up an excuse of why I had to go somewhere and give them money to like go get a car. So I'm being helpful if they
like,
actually
empty your bag. Let me see. What you have any weapons in there? Let me check you.
Pat you down. I gotta make sure you don't have anything.
Right. Hop on in. You can sit in the back.
The woman said, I'd be happy to. So she made the opposite decision of us. So she unlocked the door for the old woman. As she started to make her way around the car to the driver's side, she started to feel uncomfortable. So when she got in the car, she looked in her purse and said, darn, I can't find my credit card. I'm going to run inside to see if anybody found it. The old woman said, I'll wait for you here. The woman left to go look for help. She then found a security guard and told him about the situation. They went back to the woman's car and the passenger door was wide open. On the seat of the car was a shopping bag that the old woman was carrying. And inside the bag was the old woman's dress and a gray-haired wig, along with a huge butcher's knife, a video camera, and a roll of duct tape.
Yup. Yeah. With the kind of creepy masks and things they can do nowadays, don't trust anyone.
They could maybe not be an old lady.
They're not old.
I will say, like, I wouldn't be shocked if maybe something like that happened, like somebody pretended
this
to be
sounds
an
like
old woman.
Something that has definitely...
But why would they just leave all their stuff in the car? Why would they be like, where did they go? Did they see the...
They were just like, this life isn't for me anymore. This isn't the kind of life I want to live.
Because at first I was
gave
like,
it up. They gave up the murder
maybe
life.
They saw the security person, freaked out and left. But that means that they already had put everything in the shopping bag and was just sitting in the car waiting for her to get back. As if she wasn't going to see that it's a random person now. I don't know if it was a man or a woman, but like, and he or she left a video camera, a butcher's knife, just like everything.
Just so you know the mistake you were about to make. You almost made a terrible mistake. Good job.
Good job getting away.
Yeah.
Well done. This is a story for you to keep forever as a life lesson. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm sure, something like that has probably... I mean, there's been stories of people putting fake babies on the side of the road to, get people to stop. I wouldn't be shocked if somebody pretended...
Yeah, the more you hear about how, they trap people and, trick people into doing things...
Oh, that's why I hate TikTok, because they keep showing surveillance videos of, women getting,
abducted
in parking lots. So now I'm always terrified in I used to love parking really far away.
Yeah.
And now I never do. I've always parked as close to the front of the store as I possibly can, around as many cars.
I think it's just more important than ever to just be aware of your surroundings. And because people are just so easily distracted
that too,
by their phones and music, it's just,
if
heads up.
I've always been of the
heads up, eyes up.
Even more so, if you feel like something's wrong, don't just be like, oh, I'm being crazy and do it, because most of the time,
would you rather be wrong and crazy or wrong and dead?
Yeah. Well, that was even the time. I'm sure I was wrong. I hope I was wrong. But when I was walking Dexter and I was alone in our neighborhood, we have a neighborhood the houses are very spaced out. So I was walking and there was a big black SUV that was a very oddly, to the point where, I mean, I'm a pretty anxious person, but I definitely wasn't overblowing how weird. It could have been somebody that was I thought it was somebody that was looking for a house. I thought it was a car service or an Uber or something, but it was a big black SUV. So I was like, maybe it's a car service. Maybe somebody works in the city. I don't know. So I thought they were looking for houses, but then they went from looking at the side of the road to slowly going up the middle, even if this person did not mean ill intent.
Yeah.
They were being a dick.
Yeah.
I was literally trying to walk my dog and they were being right behind me in the center, just following. And then I realized it was going on for way too long. I was like, okay, this is going on way too long. There's no way that they're trying to find a house this long. And so because I knew that there was another gap between houses and we were coming up to one. So I pretended I was going up the driveway of this one person's house. And in my brain at first, I was like, I shouldn't do that because somebody in this house might be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Get out of my drive. But I was like, you know what? I would rather deal with that situation than deal with a possible bad situation that's happening. And then what's even weirder about it is I went up the driveway and the car took off.
Yeah.
Fast after that.
You don't know?
And I was like, First of all, I was like, well, I'm glad I went into a house driveway that was not mine. Because that's always the thing, too. If I think somebody's behind me, I never pull into my own driveway. I always pull. There's been a couple times where I thought somebody was behind me, and most of the time, or not most of the time, every time, most likely it was nothing but every now and then I'll like pull off into a plaza if I freak myself out, and then they'll pass by, and then I can like go to my house without worrying about it.
Better to be safe than sorry.
But yeah, life lesson for all of you guys. Don't pick up strangers, even if you think they're feeble old ladies. And then this was the only other story I could find, because all the other stories were about like creepy men creeping on ladies. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, we've heard that. So the story, it was a Reddit story. It says, so I work at a retirement home on the side housing dementia residents. Also, old dementia patients also freak me out because they say some stuff that you're like, what? What are you talking about? All of the old people are the sweetest little things. One woman in particular is my favorite. Her name is Mrs. Mildred, but all of the staff calls her grandma because she looks like a little old grandma that bakes cookies and knits sweaters. Anyway, that's who I want to be. Anyway, in Grandma's room, there is a window that looks outside to a cement wall separating the retirement home from an apartment building. One day, Grandma told me that kids jump off of the significantly high wall, so I began closing her blinds when I went into her room. When I started working at my third shift, we made rounds every few hours to make sure the residents were okay. I went into her room and she had pulled the blanket up to her chin. She was staring at me with such a strange look on her face that I rushed over to her bed immediately. Grandma, I said, what's wrong? She looked behind me, and that's when I noticed that the look on her face was fear, and she had tears in her eyes. There was a man staring at me, and when he heard you come in, he got on all fours and crawled under my bed. Will you see if he's still there? Fear rushed through my chest because I was standing right next to her bed. Plus, there was no way anyone was in her room before me. All of the rooms were locked, and the only keys around were the ones that the nursing assistants had. This wasn't the first time Mildred said someone was in her room, but it was the first time she said someone crawled under her bed. Even though I was scared, I had to check for her, so I stepped back and bent down a little, seeing to my relief nothing was under her bed. I popped my head back up and gave her a smile. Nothing's under the bed, Grandma. Maybe you were just dreaming. No, he's talking to me right now. I hear him. I tried to comfort her for almost 40 minutes to no prevail. I had been disturbed by that for weeks that I finally said something to one of the other nurses. Her eyes opened wide and her jaw dropped. What room is she in? 409. Why? McKenna, please tell me you're making this up. I'm not. Why? I was getting scared again as she lowered her voice to a whisper. The man that lived there before Mildred would crawl on the floor. We caught him crawling out of the window one time. Now, anytime I go into Grandma's room, I make sure someone is with me.
Damn. Ugh. Still got chills.
I knew that would give you chills.
That was a good one. Was this a true story?
Yeah, it was a Redditor person posted it. So take that.
You know how people say like dogs and babies can see like ghosts and stuff?
Yeah.
I feel like the same is kind of true for like old people.
Well, there's been a lot of people that when they're like about to die, close to death, they'll say that they like see people standing in the room and stuff.
I think.
But again, I don't know if that's your brain like.
Yeah, it could just be like explained with science and whatnot. But I feel like people who are close to death, like that veil is thinning of reality or this universe and whatever is next.
Thin because they just came from whatever is outside of life.
And kids, I think, because they're just like innocent and just came from this other.
And dogs.
And dogs just because they're the best. No, cats are little demons.
They see demons.
They are the demons.
Well, that was like today when I was outside with Mel and your mom. And she was like, Guy, and like pointing. I got kind of excited. I was like, oh my God, yes, he's finally seeing ghosts.
It was somebody working.
So she pointed like behind our pool and there was obviously nobody there. And I was like, a guy? And I said, where? And she was just like pointing there. She said, Guy. And then she said, guy working. I said, there's a guy working over there. And then it finally pieced together. I was like, oh, she hears like
a lawnmower or a leaf blower.
So I said, I feel like maybe a lot of kids stories I'm now going to realize have like a logical explanation.
Yeah.
Because at first, if I didn't know what she's talking about, I'm like, you see a guy and he's working over there?
Yeah, guy working over there.
But
and
it was
over
because she
there
heard
is another house over there.
Yeah.
Not by the
not
pool.
right standing by the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, I hear a lawnmower. That is a guy working, and I need to tell you about it.
It's so funny. She's hilarious.
Children and old people.
Two opposite ends of the spectrum.
I guess that's the scariest part is that we will all be old people one day, but we will all luckily, hopefully be old people.
Hopefully you get to be old.
That's why I feel like there's no fear. My fear isn't with getting old. My fear is not getting the chance to get old.
Oh, I like that. That's much better. Well put there, Lauren. Yeah. That should be everyone's outlook is you should be happy to get old. That means
maybe that's why. And I always wonder, like when you're older, you're obvious. Oh, that's what one of the articles said was obviously like when we think about death at our age, we're thinking about it in passing. We're like, oh yeah, someday, or oh, I hope I don't get in a car accident, or hope I like don't get cancer young or whatever. But it's never like a constant on your mind thing. But when you're like 70s, 80s, 90s, it becomes more of
when
like
that probability
when is this could happen.
Natural death is a lot higher.
Especially if you're like 90s, you're like, okay, like it could be any day now. Like, but it's like an interesting, I'm sure, I know people have like done documentaries and stuff where they've talked to people about death at that age, but I just find it so interesting. Like, I wonder how I'll feel. Like, are you more at peace with it because you've lived your life?
It depends.
Because I feel like that's why death is scary to me now. It's like, if I die now, like, Melody won't have a mom, or like I won't get to do the things that I wanted to do, but if you've lived like a full life and you're in your 90s,
I think
and you're
most people that have,
and all of your loved ones, well, that's what they said. Like at that point, most of the people you've known in your life have passed. Yeah. Besides, hopefully your kids, if you had kids. But it's like I feel like at some point you might just be like, oh well, I get to like join all the people that I've loved in my life.
That's why, like you said before, you're hopeful that you get to live old because that means you lived a full life, and everyone I'm sure deals with that end of their life.
I'm sure it's still scary because nobody knows. Yeah, but I think it's hopefully less scary because you're like, I'm not leaving things undone. It's like this is the most I could have done.
I think that's what's, when people who die young is that they feel like they still had time to
well, that's also
stuff to do.
Funny too. It's like when somebody's like, oh, my grandma died, and you're like, oh, like how old was she? If they're like 90 something, you're just like,
oh cool.
But if you're like,
she did it.
Yeah. But if you're like, my grandma died, she was like 60, people are like, oh no. Like, it's such a, it's more of like a congratulations. Like they died at
97. Wow. Awesome.
Good for them. Yeah. Hopefully you get there too.
Yeah. I remember when my great grandma died and I was
it's like such a funny different, like
middle school, high school. And I went to the wake, or it wasn't the wake. It was like the dinner after the wake, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
And my friend called me on my cell phone. I'm like, I'm at my great grandma's, I don't know, after party. I didn't know what it was called. But like, because there wasn't somber. It wasn't somber. Yeah. She was 90 something years old. She had so many, children and grandchildren. Like,
it's like a lot of kids, and even me sometimes just assumes that like you're gonna live to 100. Like that's just you're like, I'm only 30% through my life, but then it's like, well, the average is 70 something. But it's such a weird thing because it's like the average is 70 something, but like you could live to like 100. Yeah. What is the oldest person? Gotta add that to the end of the podcast. What was the oldest? Take a guess. What the oldest person?
It keeps changing because
is the oldest
person to ever live. Well, there's like some monks that they say are like super old.
What?
They don't have proof.
That's why you have to be de-stressed.
But they don't really have proof.
It was as of now.
Wait. I'm gonna guess. I'll go 114. 114.
This lady looks like she probably would scare you.
Let me see. Oh, yeah, I've seen it. That's a woman?
Oh, yeah, that's a woman. Oh, wait, no, sorry. That's the man. This is the woman.
Yeah.
It's right as of now.
They're currently
the world's
alive?
oldest person lived. No, they passed already, but it was It was a French woman, and she lived to be 122. Wow. Thus earning the honor of being the world's oldest person.
Matt, think of this. You're 70. And you're like, all right, I'm old.
I could die,
52 more years you have. And it's like, what?
52 more
years.
When
When she was 70, she had 52 more years left.
Damn. That's older. That's more than we've lived. By 20 years.
Yeah.
Damn. That's what I mean. It's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you literally have no idea.
It's on everyone's
there's no
minds.
escaping it. You're either dying or you're getting old. Like they're one of those. And I would rather get old than die before getting old. So like it's always something that people need to like be aware of. And also treat any generation nice, because you were either that generation at one point or you're gonna be that generation.
Or,
so just remember
and you don't know
that.
if you're gonna need them, whether they're older or younger.
Yeah.
Or
Be nice to
age.
millennials.
Just be nice to everybody. Everybody love everyone.
I was gonna say, be nice to millennials. We were kids during 9/11. That's the thing that's coming. Oh, that's what people make memes about millennials now, is like that we've just like been through so much stuff from
Everyone's
a young
been
age
through so of the
true.
We experienced wars.
I think we
different.
just see more of it.
Yeah.
Like they went through it.
Yeah.
Except unless you went to war, then you saw the worst. But like I meant just being home and getting the newspaper and being like, oh, this is happening. Like now you're like, oh, I went on the internet and I saw like 5 people die today. This is great.
Yeah.
Like
we're exposed. You're exposed to a lot more now.
Yeah.
People have become numb to a lot of things.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a long episode.
Good one.
Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah.
Young and old.
Hope all people of all ages.
And remember,
everything is creepy.